Good day to you one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Today I'm talking about something that you may already be aware of. This is somewhat of a news bulletin, but also we need to discuss what's happening to the live music industry because it's going fucking mental. It's prohibitively and astronomically expensive to buy tickets for your favourite artists these days, particularly if they are the big hitters, your Taylor Swifts, your Harry Styleses, those kind of guys. Let's talk about it. Justin Hawkins rides again. I have extensive research before me, provided by my wonderful producer. Right, so millions of Taylor Swift fans swarmed Live Nation's Ticketmaster website on Tuesday to try and score seats for her first tour in 5 years, causing periodic outages and long online waits. We're calling it the implosion of the live music industry. We might be overstating that slightly. Anyway, the ticket-selling site said in a statement that historically unprecedented demand for Swift's 52-day United States tour has caused pandemonium. They didn't say anything about pandemonium. I just added that. Fans elsewhere reported waiting in online queues for up to 8 hours. That's not as bad as being on the phone for 8 hours, though, is it? And listening to hold music. But it's probably just as frustrating. You're probably constantly refreshing for what good it'll do. And many finding they were too late to purchase tickets, which cost between $49, very reasonable, I think, to $449 each. $449 is less reasonable. Seems like they've just added an extra $4 to the beginning of that price. Many who were told they would have access to pre-sale tickets were kicked off the site and subsequently never managed to get any tickets at all. Sounds a little bit like the unprecedented demand has just led to Ticketmaster not being able to distribute tickets. Well, it's their only job. It's their only job. Fans are primarily angry about Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing, which makes them less accessible or forces fans and parents to pay huge amounts of money. Taylor has reportedly opted to use dynamic ticket pricing, so these prices can increase dramatically depending on the demand for tickets. It's a little bit like when you try and get a flight somewhere and then the flight's full, all bar one seat. It's probably a middle seat. It's probably opposite the toilet, and on a packed flight, that's probably not the prime spot, but it will be the most expensive seat on the plane just because everybody wants it. So this is what we're up against. The questions we must ask are these. Should artists take more responsibility about the pricing of their tickets? Do you just want rich people in the best seats or the front row seats? Imagine that vibe. The front row, or the golden circle as they're starting to call it recently, just packed with millionaires. Quaffing champagne, feasting on prawn sandwiches, filming a bit for their mates, not knowing any of the songs, not actually giving a shit. And then all the people who are really passionate and loving. I mean, for me, I know who I'd rather have in the front row. Enthusiasts of all ages, of all incomes. Should tickets be priced the same? And it's a first come, first serve situation. Well, I think if you're doing a pre-sale for your treasured supporters who have, been loyal to you through thick and thin, and you promised them an opportunity to see the concert from a good vantage point at a reasonable price, the least you can do is honour at least the promise of being able to try and do that. I mean, it feels a little bit like the real fans are the ones that are suffering in this instance. Dynamic pricing is not currently allowed in Ireland, so Taylor Swift's tickets will go as high as €150 with fees, and they cannot go any higher regardless of demand. So my advice to you is save, don't spend. Actually, depends where you live. If you live in America, just pay the $449, be done with it. If you live anywhere else in the world, hang on a second, wait, breaking news. While pre-sale tickets were initially only open to Swift fans selected as verified fans, a system set up to deter bots and scalpers, some tickets were already being listed on resale sites such as StubHub for as much as $22,700, which is preposterous. I think if you're going to pay that, just get a private jet to Ireland. Yeah, get a private jet to Ireland. No, actually, just don't go. It's way too much money. Buy a car. Yeah. No, don't buy a car. It's bad for the environment. Private jets, bad for the environment. Just don't go. There's no point. Somebody else can pay that. Should there be regulation on resale sites that they can't list them over face value? Are they just legal touts? I mean, I suppose the only difference would be that they're exposed to some sort of taxation and some sort of accountability as to, the validity of the ticket itself. But at the end of the day, if they're able to sell a ticket for $22,700, why wouldn't they? I mean, I suppose that's really exciting to me because, like, we charge a normal amount of money for a ticket and everybody pays the same, as far as I know. But the idea of somebody paying that sort of money would make a huge difference to our income. It would probably one ticket would be the difference between a tour being profitable, breaking even, or being in the red or in the black. So at a certain level, it's got to be tempting. But I think if you're filling out stadiums or arenas, you don't need to be a gazillionaire. I mean, you're probably, or a septillionaire, which is any number that's got 42 zeros after it. You don't need to be that, do you? Or just do one tour and then do the rest of your touring should be free? I don't know. It just seems like a really obscene amount of money for a ticket. Anyway, a Democratic US lawmaker also criticised the company Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster's excessive wait times and fees are completely unacceptable, as seen with today's Taylor Swift tickets. David Cicilline wrote on Twitter. He added that the 2010 merger of Ticketmaster and Live Nation, which had Justice Department approval, should not have been allowed. It's no secret that Live Nation stroke Ticketmaster is an unchecked monopoly. He said. That wasn't me saying that. Oh my God. I would never cast such... but, he said it. He's an expert. So the ticketing industry has frustrated Americans for years with hidden fees, limited ticket availability because of pre-sales and other irritations. Most musicians are worried about not being able to afford their rent. People are actually giving up music because they can't survive in the current climate. And yet here we are with a $22,700 ticket. Should huge artists take a moment to check themselves and resist the urge to make exorbitant amounts of money out of their fan base? When is it enough money? Do you think... I'm just trying to figure out how many people paid $22,700. You'd sell 100 tickets at that rate, and I think you're into the... Wait, let's get the calculator out. I don't think this is difficult maths, but I want to make sure I don't misspeak. $1 cool million. $1 million. Okay, so we'll divide that by 22,700. And that should tell us how many tickets you would need to sell in order to make a cool £1 million or dollars. You would need to sell 44 tickets. $44 tickets at that rate to make $1 million. I'm just speechless. I really am. I would like to ask Taylor Swift, do you need a guitar player or anything? Anyway, how would you feel performing to people who have paid $22,000 to be in the front, and at the back some hardcore fans who just happen to be poor are seated with their, those little binocular things you sometimes used to see at the opera? There'd be no vibe. There would be no vibe. Would there be a vibe? I mean, maybe I'm being dismissive of the kind of people that earn that kind of money. I'm sure they're fun guys. I mean, they're going to be determined to let their hair down. Money is no object. They'll really, really go for it. But if you're throwing that sort of money around, you might just pay 22 grand and then just be like, come on in. Impress me. I've paid good money for this. I don't know. I don't want to cast aspersions on the personality profiles of high-earning individuals who can consider $22,000 an acceptable amount to pay for a Taylor Swift ticket. But you've got to say that the hardcore fans who can't afford it, it's just not fair on them. A Twitter user was lambasted for admitting that she was so desperate to be in the pit for Harry Styles' concert that she ended up paying over $10,000 for tickets. She was told by many that she should be embarrassed by her behaviour. Should she? Or is she just a victim of this new ticketing nightmare culture? Let's have a look at this.
The most insane thing happened to me last night at the Harry Styles concert. Basically, I ended up spending $10,000 at this Harry Styles concert. Let me explain.
Well, I think no amount of explanation will detract from the shock of paying $10,000 to see a Harry Styles concert.
The day before, I had bought, me and my friend Mac, our pit seats. They were like $890.
That's a lot of money anyway.
So I usually use SeatGeek when I'm buying tickets. I always use SeatGeek, but for this like specific concert on StubHub, it was much cheaper. So we decided to buy them on StubHub, and it was like $1,700 for 2 seats.
Good value.
So we're walking out the door, me and my friends, and Max is waiting for us at the venue. And I'm like, these tickets never made it to my email. I'm like looking, it says the tickets were confirmed, but like the tickets aren't there. So I call StubHub and they're just like, yeah, like we can't give you your pit seats.
What?
I paid almost $2,000 for these pit seats. I need these pit seats. She was like, yeah, we can replace them with like balcony tickets.
Okay, I'm beginning to get the picture here. The balcony is unacceptable if you're paying $2,000, surely.
I was like, no, like, I finna be in the pit. Like, I bought these pit tickets. I need these pit tickets.
I don't have a problem with this person. I don't know why people are lambasting her, because she's evidently a massive enthusiast with loads of money to spend. She'll be having a great time in the pit. She's desperate to be down there. She won't be happy on the balcony.
She's like, well, we can't give them to you. Like, the seller, we can't get in touch with him, blah, blah, blah. I am, like, out the door. I am, like, oh! I can't even explain to you the stress that I was feeling in this very moment. I was just like, what are you talking about? So I go on the internet, I go on SeatGeek and I go on Vivid Seats, and there's one ticket left on each site after taxes, $4,200 each.
$4,200. You know what? I've been paid less than that for whole gigs, for a whole gig. Admittedly, there was just one person there, so it's fair enough, I suppose.
Thank God those worked, but I spent $10,000 on all these tickets.
Well, that is a disgusting amount of money, and frankly, I thought it was expensive in the first instance. What's happened? What are we doing here? I always used to talk about the long tail effect. It bothered me that the internet was supposed to solve it. It's supposed to be a few bands used to make all the money, and then it would go like this. There'd be a little bit of money for millions of other bands. And then with the advent of streaming and the internet and all this stuff and all this new music and new and fresh ways to connect with your audience, the idea was that long tail was supposed to do this. So there'd be a more even distribution of the wealth among the sort of top earning bands, and then you'd have a tail that sort of glides off into the distance and everybody would be making something. But that's not what happened. Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, poof, and then 1 billion bands releasing 100,000 songs every day on the various streaming platforms, making no money whatsoever. And it's happening in the music trade on the live front as well. What do we think here? Use the comment section below to tell me your opinion, your honest opinion, not your humble opinion, your honest opinion as to whether or not dynamic ticket pricing is fair, good for music, something we should be trying to stamp out. What do you think about it? Use the comment section, tell me, and we'll discuss it more. Justin Hawkins writes again. The world's gone fucking crazy. The only thing that makes any damn sense in this world is to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and watch one of these 2 videos. Nice one.